Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. Let's get to it. This week is going to be absolutely amazing. I have no doubt in my mind that this week is going to be absolutely bonkers. And why I say that is because this is the week that they are going to hopefully hear the conclusion, or at least, if nothing else, the judge's decision as it relates to the Fani Willlis interference case and a disqualification case, let me say it properly. And no matter how it goes, it's going to be crazy. If he comes down with the decision, it's going to be crazy. If he asks for more information, it's going to be crazy. If his decision goes in one direction, bonkers. If it goes in another direction, absolutely pandemonium. There's no way around this not being a total and complete dumpster fire. And I just want to point out that Atlanta brought this on itself. And we're going to talk a lot more about that, by the way. I have a video coming up. I'm going to be doing a little bit of looking at some other people, women in leadership who've had this exact same problem as Fani Willis has had. And there's actually quite a few of them. So that's not today. Don't worry about it. Have no fear. I want to talk about what we can look forward to in this case. And actually a little bit about Raphael Warnock, because he stuck his toe into the discussion and I think he needs to get it nipped off. So we're going to nip it off a little bit. But I thank y'all so much for tuning in on today. Good to see you, K-Dub, in the building. Always good to see you, friend. There we go. Peace, baby, from Australia. What time is it there? He said evening. So I'm assuming it's evening time there. Wow, that's crazy. Thank you so much for tuning in. Good to see you, JT2000. Kim in the building. Good to see you. Oh, always good to see Kiana. Always good to see you, Sister Grace and Peace. Thank you so very much. So let's just jump into it because I have a couple of clips I want to look at and kind of give my opinion about what I think is going to happen with how this week is going to go. But and we'll end with Raphael Warnock and what he had to say about Fani Willis, because Raphael Warnock is the senator from Georgia. So that's going to make it very interesting. So let's just pull this clip in and let's get going.
This week, Judge Scott McAfee is expected to decide whether to disqualify Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis and Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade from the 2020 election interference case. Defense attorneys claim the two were in a romantic relationship and financially benefited from it, making them unable to impartially.
Okay, at what point is it appropriate for the news? And mind you, I'm not a newscaster. I don't even pretend to be one. At what point does the news actually say something actually has been proven? Because I'm gonna back it up a little taste. She still says that they allegedly had a romantic affair when Fani and Nathan admitted it. So it's no longer, some bad people on the other side of the political aisle are saying this. They actually admitted it. So why are we still pretending as if it didn't happen? Listen to what she said.
Romantic relationship and financially.
Oh, and back up a little taste, sorry.
Election interference case. Defense attorneys claim the two were in a romantic relationship and financially benefited from it, making them unable to impartially prosecute the case. We'll be watching for three big developments in the coming days. First, the judge's decision on whether to allow more witnesses to take the stand.
No more, please.
Now, in multiple filings made last week, defense attorneys say they have two new witnesses who are both lawyers. They claim they were told Willis and Wade's relationship started in 2019 before Wade was appointed as a special prosecutor. Both Willis and Wade have testified their relationship did not start until 2022.
She literally just said they had a relationship. So why do you have to pretend as if they didn't actually have a relationship? They just said it. She just read it on the teleprompter. I don't know why they do that. Maybe there's some reason why newscasts don't do it. I don't know, but it just seems weird.
After Wade took the job. Next, the state has asked the judge to keep those witnesses off the record. In a filing from DA Willis, she said the record has been closed and suggested the request for more witnesses was an attempt to further embarrass and harass her. All this means Judge McAfee has two decisions to make. He will need to decide whether to allow the new witnesses to testify, in addition to a final ruling on disqualification. We do not know the exact timeline for those decisions, but at closing arguments, the judge said he hoped to have answers within 2 weeks.
All right. I think it's very disingenuous, and I'm just going to comment right here. You do realize the first one to try to introduce new data into the mix was actually Fani Willis's team, when they said that it had an affidavit from a guy in Napa Valley, California, that would admit that, or would testify that she paid cash at the wine tasting. They started this whole open up new, bring in new witnesses. That was them. That was them. Now, mind you, nobody was ever arguing that she never paid cash for anything. For crying out loud, we fully expect you to have paid cash for something. You're a human being in America. That's probably a real truth. But she was the one that started that. So I thought that was kind of adorable that they kind of put it on the other team as if they were the ones that wanted to bring in the other data. Now, of course, they're like, oh, sure, open it back up, because then we can bring in that cell phone, the text messages. We can bring in Jaeger. We can bring in Aurora. We can bring it all in. Absolutely. And then all of a sudden, Fanny's like, no, maybe you don't need to do all that. Maybe you don't need to bring all that in. A pure, unadulterated dumpster fire. This is going to be crazy. If you think this is going to be crazy, and if you agree that, this is going to be absolutely some must-see TV, could you hit that little thumb button? There's like a thumb icon at the bottom of the page. Hit that. And if you don't like what I'm saying, hit it 3 times. I promise you. It'll help out. Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. All right, let's go. Now, I want to look at a friend of the channel. I call him a friend of the channel. Hopefully he likes me. Nate the Lawyer. And I promise you, if you go check out Nate the Lawyer's channel, you will definitely hit the thumbs up button. And you'll subscribe and all that kind of good jazz, because he does a great job of recapping stories. So moving into, it's good to go listen to Nate the Lawyer before this week starts, because he's going to give you a good summary. So today we're going to look at the summary of when Ashley Merchant went over the cell phone information. I think it was really insightful. Hopefully you'll get something good out of it.
It was ironic because I have a number of cases. All
right, it's very ironic, Ashley. I got you. All right, but this is from Nate the Lawyer. He's just kind of going over the cell phone data. So last week we went over the trips, and this is when Ashley was at the Georgia Senate testifying in an investigation last week. And now they already went over the travel and the trips. Now they're going to talk about the cell phone information and why they trust the cell phone data to be necessary. So let's go ahead and let's jump in. Let's go.
Almost every murder case I've had in the last decade has had geolocation data
used by the prosecution against the defendant, right?
They use cell hawk data. Literally, they're using this right now. So our investigator actually analyzed the same. There's a trial going on. It's called the YSL trial. There's this same data being used in that trial, and our investigator actually analyzed it for them in that case. So
okay, I want to point this out again, and I mentioned this before. I'm going to rewind this. This is why I know Ashley Merchant plays 4-dimensional chess. Okay, I mentioned that before, and I really want to make the point. Ashley Merchant, if I meet her at the Marietta Square, I'm buying her some Marietta Pizza Co. because she thinks on another level. Watch what she just said one more time.
Our investigator actually analyzed the same. There's a trial going on. It's called the YSL trial. There's this same data being used in that trial, and our investigator actually analyzed it for them in that case. So
for them, you mean for the Fulton County DA's office?
No, for the defense looking at that data. So the point is, they're currently using the same data in another courtroom to prosecute someone, but their defense in our case was that it's not reliable.
Okay.
That's 4-dimensional chess. If you didn't understand what she just said, Ashley Merchant, for the cell hawk data, they got the cell hawk data analyst that that the prosecution was using in the YSL, the Young Slime Life Street Gang case here in Atlanta. It's a big trial. It's very complicated, but they're using geo-tracking there. So they literally got the same person that's analyzing the data there. They brought him over here to analyze the data for Fani Willis and Nathan Wade. So when Fani Willis says that this data is unreliable, she's literally cutting the feet off from under herself in the argumentation against a violent street gang. The fact that you would do that to protect yourself that's why she needs to be dismissed. Ashley playing on a whole nother level. She on some international, intergalactic level thinking right here, because now Fani's going to look totally ridiculous. And she even kind of mentions it real quick. I'm going to back up just a slight minute as well. She mentions it that they're saying that it's unreliable, but it's reliable when they use it, but it's not reliable when it's being used against them. Four-dimensional chess.
You mean for the Fulton County DA's office?
No, for the defense looking at that data. So the point is they're currently using the same data in another courtroom to prosecute someone, but their defense in our case was that it's not reliable.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, so this is the last video about Ashley Merchant's testimony at the Georgia State Senate hearing. So now they're going to talk about the phone records that show the late night communication between DA Fani Willis and the special prosecutor. Now remember, they had denied that there was any relationship before Wade was hired by Willis. But the phone records and GPS data says something different. So here is Ashley Merchant going to explain what this data says. Let's check it out.
Hey, before Ashley explains this, can somebody please in the chat let me know what is a good rationale and reason for you to go to somebody's house that you are not romantically involved in, that you don't technically work for, to go to their house 35 times, varying times throughout the day. Sometimes late at night, sometimes staying a little bit later overnight, sometimes during the day, whatever like that. What is a good reason to be going to somebody's house? And it seems like you intentionally go there. So it's not like you live close by and you just kind of stop by, because you live like nearly 40 minutes away. What's a good reason to be going to this person? Oh, and it is a member of the opposite sex. What's a good reason to be doing this? Drop it in the chat. I would love to know. Well, Kata got one. He called one. Right. I don't see. What's the purpose of that? Absolutely. JT 2000. I don't understand. I would love to know, what's the purpose? Now, mind you, they're inside the house though, Lazy. So they're not just stalking, like hanging out in the bushes, looking through binoculars. They're literally going in the crib. Oh, cooked banana cake. Is that what they're calling it nowadays? Is that what the kids are calling it? All right. Oh, costly. Okay, I got you. I totally got you. And look, I'm fully expecting, I think another reason why Fani Willis doesn't want them to open up more witnesses and more evidence, because I'm fully convinced at this stage of the game that they have some kind of video of them in public. If they pop up with them, a video of them at Six Flags, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised at this stage of the game. They're just playing at a different level. And Fani Willis and them just keep lying. So I don't think they should ask for more evidence, because they're only going to get in more trouble. No. We call it a Fani call. No, we call it a Fani call. We don't do that anymore. That's so 2000. That's so 2019. We call it a Fani call now. All right, let's get going. Let's go.
I was talking about the other. So this is the Cellhawk report, and heat map is just like how many times it's pinging, heavy.
Okay. Look on the left side. Approximate calls, 12,000. 12,000 voice calls. I'm sorry, 12,000 interactions. Voice calls, 9,792 text messages. I promise you. I've been married for 22 years. I have not texted my wife that much in a year, okay? I don't think I've texted her that much in a year. And she even has me on a text, a group text with my kids. And she has me on a group text with her sisters, for crying out loud. And I still don't think I've had that many conversations. That's great. In a year. And definitely not that many calls. I don't like talking on the phone like that. I don't know. That is crazy. Okay, let's go.
concentration is, you're talking a lot at this time, or you're at that location.
Look at what this says here on the side. During the period of records, so it tells you this. So this is from before. So they took the time right before Wade was hired by Willis. So they say there's approximately 12,000 interactive voice and text messages. So, and that's interesting because the news kept saying there's 12,000 text messages, 2,000 voice messages, but now we know that's not true. It was 12,000 altogether. So we have 2,000 voice calls. Wow, that's a lot of voice calls. Let me see. So there's 365 days in a year. So if you take one voice call every day, that's 365. 2, 3, what are you talking about? 4 times, 5 times? Wow, 5, 6 calls a day. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot of phone calls, right? And then you got 9,000 text messages. So, woof, they were communicating a lot. And this is before the relationship and before he was hired. So, you know,
allegedly before the relationship. See, that's the part I don't like. He was hired in 2022, sure. That's not actually the argument, because they know that. There's paperwork to show that. It's the relationship part that probably looks like it started 2 years before that. That's the problem.
They may just be good friends.
There's a lot of usage. The other thing I was talking about, just to make sure it's clear, so that's Cellhawk. Cellbrite is a different program. Cellbrite, and it's Cellebrite. Cellbrite is a program similar to Cellhawk, but it downloads data in the phone. So like this one is you pinging off of towers. It's geolocation.
It's showing where you were
exactly
at a certain time.
Cellbrite actually can get your texts, your pictures, your app usage. I mean, all of that stuff. So it's one of those things that if you want, if
y'all know you do not want these people's pictures. These people do not want this to happen. They do not want this smoke. Please just give up, Fani. Just give it up, because you do not want them. I'm sorry. You do not want Ashley Merchant and Sadow and Grandpa to secure your phone data. That's just not what you want. You did not wake up this morning for that kind of trouble. Just give up, please. Just quit.
You know, if a defendant is threatening someone by text and they delete it, they'll take their phone and hook it up to Cellbrite. Cellbrite it makes what's called a forensic copy of the phone, but you can also limit the data. So it's very expensive program. So not a lot of people have it. So when I have my clients use it, it costs a lot of money for them to have it done. But the DA's office has it. They have the software. They pay for it. You can find that in their open checkbook. The city of Atlanta police have it as well. But what you can do is you can copy cell phone. So, you know, what I had mentioned earlier is
you have to have the cell phone to do that?
You do. You have to have the cell phone.
So what, did Mr. Bradley give you all his cell phone? Or
No.
how'd you get Mr. Wade's cell phone?
So we did not get that data from Mr. Wade. So we only got the geolocation data from Mr. Wade. We
So they
cannot.
got his geolocation data.
I do not have the power to get the text messages. I don't have that power. I would have to have a search warrant. The state's the only one that has the power to actually get someone's text messages out of their phone. But my whole point in saying that was if I had been accused of having an affair and it didn't start, you know, and I said it started in April and someone else said it started in November, they have the ability, I don't have the ability, they have the ability to plug that phone into the Cellbrite and print out a report that shows all of the texts.
So Mr. Wade and Miss Willis had that.
So just to be clear, what she's saying is that if they wanted to prove the relationship didn't exist, they could just hook their phones up to this thing and the proof would be right there. But they haven't done that for whatever reason.
They wanted to disprove your allegations.
Which seems kind of interesting too, though, because if Fani wanted to prove that she, you know, took out $2,000 in cash, she would have pulled her bank records. If Nathan wanted to prove that he deposited $4,000 in cash after the Aruba trip, he could just prove it. It's kind of interesting that they're not doing that. It just seemed like they could easily settle that. And which, by the way, is another reason why I don't think they really truly want to bring that guy from California to prove that Fani Willis paid cash at the wine tasting. Because if they did, that means there would be a receipt. And if there's a receipt at the winery, you're going to ask, well, where's the receipt on your end? Fani, where's your receipt? And now they have a receipt. And there's going to be a whole slew of new problems. They do not want that smoke. Just go on and accept this, take this L, and go somewhere and sit down. I don't understand why we
Just use that Cellbrite program, and it would have shown no communications between them.
Yes, and it would have also showed the contents of the text. If the texts are romantic, if they're not romantic, if they're friendly, and they would control the data. So if there's something that was privileged, they could redact it. If there was something that if they wanted to only limit it to, like, we want to prove that we weren't talking romantically in November, they could limit it to that.
So they could have actually pulled up the text itself to say, hey, I need you to help me work on this case, or else, hey, I need you to meet me at the Love Nest.
Yes, 100%, yes. I don't have that ability. So I don't have the ability to get a search warrant and get that data. All I have the ability to do is get that geofencing.
Well, who found out about these 12,000 texts and calls and all that kind of stuff?
That is what I was able to get by subpoena. So I was able to get the geolocation data by subpoena. What I can't get is what's inside of the phone. I can't get the texts inside the phone.
The words in the text.
Exactly.
But you were able to find out that they were texting each other.
Oh, yeah.
Prior to November 1st of 21.
Yes.
How did you find that data? Is that anything you've produced to us?
That is, so the CellHawk data actually analyzes that. So you can see, we just summarized 2021. So approximately 12,000 interactions, that's voice and texts for the year of 2021. And again, remember, 2021, he didn't get the contract until November of that year. So most of 2021, he's not under contract.
Right. I mean, they are dead to rights, man. There's no way around this. There's no way to get around this without sounding like a complete and utter shill. Like, it sounds like Senator Jones trying to explain this away. And I mean, it's just complete and utter foolishness. Okay, let's go.
Over 2,000 voice calls, almost 10,000 text messages.
How did they explain that? Did you confront? We're not privy to what all came out in evidence at the hearings that you've had. Did you get either one of them to say, that's not true, we didn't really talk 12,000 times? Or?
No, what they did was they filed an affidavit saying that geolocation data is not always reliable.
Okay. Does that apply to Cellbrite data, though?
No, it doesn't. And it was ironic because I have a number of cases. I mean, almost every murder case I've had in the last decade has had geolocation data
used.
So notice Fani called into question the CellHawk data that she's using down the hall to the young thug YSL case. That is crazy. She would rather undercut a criminal street gang case in order to cover her backside as it relates to this case.
The prosecution against the defendant, right?
They use CellHawk data.
Now, remember, I said this when we were watching it live. I was like, well, hold on. The prosecution uses this geolocation data all the time, right? They put the prisons are filled with people who've been convicted based on this geolocation data. So it's just weird now that when the same data, they are in court saying it's good, it's good, it's good, put this person in jail for the rest of their lives. It's so good. Now, when it's used against them, it's not reliable. So it's fascinating how, the rules are for me, but not for thee. And again, if I'm a defendant in this county, I'm using this testimony. Look, the DA says it's not reliable.
That's what's going to happen.
They say that.
I mean, literally, they're using this.
Yeah, and let me just reiterate that. If you are already in the process, in the food chain of a trial because you've done something, and they're using CellHawk data, they're going to start using Fani's testimony here, this briefing that they filed, as proof that that's not reliable anymore. Like, this is completely and utterly ridiculous. Like, that is an amazing that they're going to do that in order just to cover herself.
Right now. So our investigator actually analyzed the same, there's a trial going on, it's called the YSL trial. There's this same data being used in that trial, and our investigator actually analyzed it for them in that case. So,
all right, so their investigator worked for the DA and is using this same data in another big trial they have. They have the YSL trial. That's the rap stars who are being prosecuted for RICO violations. Same thing here. So they're prosecuting them, and in that trial, they're using this same data to say these people are guilty. And then that's this, and the same investigator. And then in this one, the same investigator says, "Hey, here's the data against DA Willlis," and they're like, "No, unreliable." Wow.
I mean,
for them, you mean for the Fulton County DA's office?
No, for the defense looking at that data. So
That is so bonkers to hear it said again. Like, yo, these people are wilding out, all to cover themselves.
So the point is, they're currently using the same data in another courtroom to prosecute someone, but their defense in our case was that it's not reliable.
Okay. Got it.
Wow. I think at the end of the day, I think Nathan Wade and Fani Willis straight up lied. They lied to cover up the fact that they were in a relationship. I'm just going to be fair. My feelings is that I'm assuming they had the relationship beforehand, and she hires him and like, you can do it. And he's got, some good results. He's gotten, I think, a couple of plea bargains, from some of the Trump co-defendants. And I'm assuming they thought that was good enough to keep everything under wraps. But then when this thing comes out, they're like, well, it'll be easier if people believe that we had the root. First, it's going to be easier if they think it's all racist, right? That didn't work. Then Fani Wilson comes out and says, well, let's just pretend that the relationship started after you were hired, so, there was no conflict. But now we know that seems to be untrue. And then I think they doubled down with that, with lying about how she was getting paid back in cash only. We're talking about now, we know it's about 20 grand. So she paid him back in 20 grand, and she was saying she got the money from a supermarket, $50 nibbles from a supermarket. We're talking about 20 grand that she paid back. So we are talking about a lot of money, and just a lot of things that just don't make sense. But I think at the end of the day, I think Fani Willis should be removed from this case. I think the appearance of impropriety and the lies just are too much, because then it gets down to why. Why are they lying? And it's obvious they are lying because they want to keep this prosecution. So I think Ashley Merchant, attorney extraordinaire, she did a fantastic job in finding this, cultivating this, getting all this information out. For whatever reason, Terrence Bradley wants to give her all the information. Who knows? I know I've been theorizing that it's been some honeypot, or, maybe but she's saying that they're just friends. So I don't know. But she did a hell of a job, not just going from what he told her, but for going to get the documents, open records requests. Michael Roman, he's paid for fantastic legal representation, and she's done the work, and she did a fantastic job. So hats off to Ashley, and she's getting her due. I think, being in the spotlight with the documents and the work she's done, it must be fulfilling to know that, hey, I put all this work in, people now recognizing it. So now, with that said, don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. Tell me what you think about this situation. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
All right, so that was the last one for Nate this week. So from last week. So I think this week, going into a new week, Lord willing, we will not have to worry. We will not go into extra innings. Hopefully, prayerfully, Judge Mcafee has enough information, because I really truly believe that if it goes into extra innings, it will only become, it will only just become like, it'll go bananas. Because again, the Ashley Merchant's team, I promise you, they got videos. I promise you, as sure as my name is Jason, I will eat my hat. I'm just kidding. But I know they have videos, and they're just chomping at the bit for them to bring in new evidence. They already got 2 other credible, no reason to lie witnesses. There's no other reason behind it there's no other reason for them to try to bring this out except to think that they can lie their way out of it. But they've already said enough that would make you feel like they're lying. But watch this. The very worst thing that could happen is if they are allowed to stay on the case, because please understand, Trump's team is going to eviscerate this. This will never end. This will never end. They'll bring up, this is going to come up if Judge Mcafee kept them on the case, and they go ahead and, let's say next Tuesday, they start trying Trump. They are going to excoriate everything they say in light of, are you lying? Did you text message that to your boyfriend? What about, when did you have this conversation? During which one of your Fani calls? They are going to go ballistic. The best thing to do, and I'm only saying it because if you want a clean trial, if you're against Trump, you want him to be held responsible for what happened on January 6th. That's your prerogative, no problem. You want a clean hand DA. This DA right here is dirty-handed. There's no way around it. It's not going to go well. If they get that far, it won't go well, because you've already seen the type of lawyers that Trump has hired. His team is not playing games. And y'all got people out here sleeping with their boyfriends, hiring their boyfriends. Y'all, you got to get a better team. All right. Now, here in Atlanta, All of y'all know that I went to Morehouse College, proud alumni class of 1999. I'll be celebrating my 25th reunion year in May. Excited about graduating from Morehouse College. I make no shame about it, though, however. I don't agree with all my Morehouse brethren, okay? I disagree with quite a few of them. And today, we're going to disagree with Raphael Warnock. And my goodness in the morning, why did you all let this man get in and talk post State of the Union address? This is ridiculous. And so he talks quite a bit about different talking points during the State of the Union, but then he does talk about the Fani Willlis case. And my goodness in the morning, I'm gonna let the whole thing play and we'll just talk and comment between there because it's gross. It's ridiculous. And then at the end, I'm gonna show a clip of something fun for Raphael. Let's go.
And joining me now is someone who joined President Biden yesterday in Atlanta, Democratic Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock of Georgia. Senator, thanks so much for joining us. So Biden and Trump were both in the Peach State last night, highlighting just how critical Georgia is going to be in November. A recent Fox poll found Trump leading Biden by 8 points in Georgia. The same poll shows nearly 1 in 4 black voters in Georgia prefer Trump over Biden. How worried are you about Biden voters turning out in Georgia this fall?
Well, good to be with you. Happy Sunday morning. Listen, it's still early in the election season, and I can tell you as somebody whose name has been on the ballot 5 times in 3 years, I know a little something about Georgia voters. And I think that as we move through this election and it becomes clearer to people that we have a binary choice, the contrast couldn't be more stark between about who's ready to serve in the White House. We've seen both of these men serve in the White House. That choice is clearly Joe Biden. And Georgians will get it right for Joe Biden just as they got it right for me.
I'd love for him to explain what does he mean by right, that Joe Biden has done right in the White House. I would love to hear, kind of what he means by that. Now, again, I don't agree with him. However, I'm always open to people, and I've actually asked this challenge before, and I'll just pose it real quick to you all as well, and you're welcome to use it. Hey, I understand why you don't want me to vote for Trump. Not a problem at all. Not a problem. I understand that. I would love for you to explain to me why I should vote for Biden, not vote against Trump. Because see, that's what most people did. They voted against Orange Man bad, blah, blah, blah. The problem is they don't know why they're voting for Biden. And I would love for somebody, hey, just explain to me why you're voting for him. I don't really care what Trump has done. Let's put Trump out of the discussion. Why are you voting for Biden? Like what about him is causing you to be excited? And I'll tell you again, they're not excited about voting for this guy. I'm just gonna be honest with you. And I'm telling y'all again, excitement about voting is key. And let me give you a real quick example, and we'll get back to Raphael because he's gonna keep saying dumb stuff. But a great example is when a movie comes out, when there's a lot of excitement about that movie, and there's lines of people that want to go watch that movie, and there's blogs, and people are costumed up, and they can't wait to see that movie. That's how you know you have a great movie at hand. But when you got to cajole people, when you have to guilt them, when you have to lie to them and say, if you don't go see this movie, you're, you hate women. If you don't go see this movie, you're against black people, or you're this, that, and the other. That's how you know that movie's dead in the water. It's not going to happen. So my point again is, tell me why I should go vote for Joe Biden. That's it. Just give me your excited elevator pitch for why you're excited about it. Because the bad thing is, I could open up this chat right now and I could ask anybody on the cuff just to drop why they're excited about voting for Trump, and it's pretty telling. And so that's all I'm saying. Like, just tell me why you're excited about voting for Biden. Tell me why. Tell me why. All right, let's get back over here and see what Raphael is talking about. Where'd it go? Here we go.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Claims that he has enough signatures to get on the ballot in Georgia. Biden only won Georgia by less than 12,000 votes 4 years ago. How worried are you that Kennedy could be a spoiler in November?
Listen, again, I can tell you that as I started the race, people didn't think I could win. Joe Biden won Georgia the last time by about 12,000 votes. Votes, by the way, the former president tried to steal. And yet here we are. Both of those men were here yesterday because the road to the White House goes through Georgia. And I can't wait to continue to make the case alongside Joe Biden in the months ahead.
You do realize he didn't answer the question, right? Okay, I know it's petty, and he's going to do it a lot in here. He didn't actually answer that man's question. And please understand, I mean, Raphael's initial race was a special election. So, I mean, sure, he ran against somebody, which again, I don't think he ran against the best candidate at all. Anyway, we're not going to even talk about that. But let's go.
On the subject of Trump attempting allegedly to steal the vote in Georgia, he's being prosecuted for that by Fani Willis, the district attorney in Fulton County. Trump has been attacking her, especially for that relationship she had with one of her prosecutors. Do you still feel like Fani Willis is the best person to bring this case forward?
Real quick, before he answers, remember, this is a pastor. Raphael Warnock is a pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church here in Atlanta, Georgia. I don't actually know how he does that, but that's neither here nor there. But he is a pastor. A reverend is what his title is, the title he gave himself that he introduced himself as. Let us continue.
Well, I'm never surprised when I see Donald Trump attacking women, especially black women.
So that's the reason. The only reason is she's a woman and she's a black woman. That's it. That's it. There's no other reason behind it. Wash it up. That's it. That's it. Again, this is kindergarten. And if you're new to Dear Woke Christian, I'm a former classroom teacher, elementary school. So I taught first, second, and third grade. This is kindergarten logic that Raphael Warnock is using. The only reason that you're disagreeing with this person is because they're a woman and they're black. That's it. Nope. Can't be any other reason.
This is who he is. And I know that there are those who are trying to put their finger on the scale here. But this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to watch the American judicial process play out. Donald Trump deserves a hearing before a jury of his peers. In this case, it's voters from Georgia. And I know that there are folks on the other side of the aisle, unfortunately, who are trying to lean in here and put their finger on the scale. I'm not going to pile on. I'm going to allow the judicial process to proceed.
Okay, if you go back and watch the question that Tapper asked him, that's actually not the question that is asked. And I'm sorry, man. I'm going to tell y'all this as a truism. Morehouse men are classic at this, of not answering questions or being able to give you a word salad that will completely swamp you. And you'd be like, oh, man, that was so eloquent. He ain't say anything. That man did not say anything. I'm telling you this. But watch this. I do agree with him that he wants Donald Trump to have his day in court, which I think is perfectly fine. I don't think it's actually going to get that far. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think it's going to get that far. However, I do also agree that you allow the political power, the judicial system to work. The only thing is, though, you notice he said that there are people putting their thumb on the scale, and he said he's not going to pile along with them. So it's clear that the people putting the thumb on the scale, he tried to use both examples, are actually people on his team. Fun story.
A horrible tragedy in your state, I don't need to tell you. Laken Riley, a 22-year-old Augusta University nursing student, she was bludgeoned to death last month while on a run on the UGA campus. The suspect is an undocumented immigrant from Venezuela who was released after crossing the border illegally, had a criminal record in New York, was still a free person. Biden mentioned her during his speech Thursday night, pushed to do so by a Georgia Republican. Take a listen.
Not really. Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of the thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself.
At his rally last night, Trump met with Laken Riley's family. He blamed Biden's border policies for her death. The Rileys are your constituents. Is it not true that there were policy failures that led to this tragic murder?
Okay, stop right there. Because Tapper asked great questions. He's pressing Raphael Warnock, I think, respectfully, but he's pressing him. He's not letting him just get, so he's asked, aren't there, the reason this man was in the United States illegally is because there's policy failures at the border? I think that's a very fair question. I also think it's a yes or no question.
Listen, first of all, let me just say that my heart goes out to this family, the family of Laken Riley. And I can tell you, as a pastor who has done hundreds of eulogies and presided over all kinds of funerals, there is no grief worse than when nature is tragically reversed, and rather than the children burying the parents have to bury the children. And so it's unfortunate that in this moment of grief, there are those who are trying to score cheap political points.
I'm sorry, sir. During the summer of love, that's all your team did was score political points. The George Floyd riots was that. Sir, you're dishonest and you are a fraud. My name is Jason, dearwokec@gmail.com. If you have a question, concern, or comment about what I just said, I will be at Reunion in May. Catch me outside. But Raphael Warnock, you're a fraud. All your team does is highlight when something goes wrong. The only problem is when you can't capitalize on it, you say that people are cheap shotting. Man, go somewhere and sit down.
Border must be secured. We know this. There's agreement about that on both sides, which is why we had a bipartisan piece of legislation.
This man is lying to you. Don't you realize that when Biden came into office, the first thing he did was roll back everything that Trump wanted to do as it relates to the border? From the wall to extra security to all that kind of stuff. He rolled all that back. And now all of a sudden you all are sitting high on your high ivory tower. Man, please go somewhere and sit down. Go have a whole bunch of seats. All the seats you can have, go have them. Matter of fact, we're going to look at all the seats in Ebenezer Baptist Church in our next video. And you can go sit in them all, Raphael.
Before us just a matter of weeks ago. And the fact that there are those who walked away from this bipartisan legislation, or at least a chance to debate it, and now they're trying to score political points in the wake of a young woman's death, that is craven politics at its worst. It's what turns people away from politics. And I think
So it's not craven politics when you did for George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Freddie Gray, anybody else. That's not craven politics, though. That's not craven politics. That's just
can do much better than that. We can secure the border.
How?
And we can make sure that we are doing everything we can to make sure our children are safe.
Let's turn to the Middle East. President Biden has been critical of Israel for blocking humanitarian aid and is taking steps to address what you've called a catastrophic humanitarian nightmare in Gaza. Biden did say yesterday that there is no red line that would lead him to, quote, cut off all weapons to Israel, as some Democrats have called for. What's your reaction to what President Biden said yesterday? Do you think he's doing enough to ensure that American-made arms going to Israel are not being used to exacerbate the horrific humanitarian crisis?
Israel is our ally. It lives in a dangerous neighborhood. But you cannot look away from, and the president is not looking away, from the tragic situation in Gaza. We've seen some 30,000 Gazans already killed, many of them innocent men, women, and children. I can tell you that as I put my own children to bed last night, my son had an incessant cough, and it just broke my heart just to see him coughing, and I had to give him his treatment. And as I was thinking about that,
you know what breaks my heart, Raphael Warnock, is that you fight and clamor and scrape and lie and malign in order to butcher babies in the womb. Sir, miss me with any of your, I'm sorry that your son has asthma, and I pray that he gets better. But sir, you are deplorable individual. You absolutely are horrendous, Raphael Warnock, period. End of story. The fact that you would high post over here about children 7, 8, 20,000 miles away, whom we should care about. We should pray for them and the such of that nature. But the children that are being butchered at the Planned Parenthood facility, which, by the way, is only 2.8 miles away from Ebenezer Baptist Church, in a black community, sir, miss me with your bravado. I don't care. You are a fraud. Class of 99. I will be at reunion year. Catch me outside.
Singing really about parents in Gaza who deal with these situations and much, much worse in the midst of a war, torn area, children experiencing amputations without anesthesia, children who are wounded and have no living relatives. We've got to make our way to that path that leads to peace. I think the president is leaning in hard.
What about the path that leads to peace to get rid of, how about children that don't have limbs because they had them cut off during baby butchering? How about that, Raphael? I'm just wondering. I just wonder where the passion and the drive and all the energy is for that. But you can worry about kids that are somewhere else on the other side of the planet, but not the kids that are literally a block and a quarter from your Ebenezer Baptist Church.
Pushing Netanyahu to do this, and it couldn't happen sooner. I hope that as we get closer to the holy season of Ramadan and the season of Passover,
the holy season of Ramadan. Oh my goodness. I did not hear this. I didn't get this far in this video. Okay, you know what? I'm making an executive decision. I'm stopping this video because this video is going to make me go crazy. That's it. I'm done with that video. I'm sorry. I did not hear him talk about Ramadan. That's it. Please email management if you have a concern, question, or comment, or you're mad that I'm not going to watch the rest of the video. Please email management. They will definitely hear your complaints and your concerns. I did not hear him talk about the holy season of Ramadan. I'm sorry. All right. But I'm going to end on a funny note because Raphael Warnock is a politician pretending to be a pastor. He is an activist pretending to be clergy. And I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to go on a limb. I've already said it like 19 times in the show, and I'll say it, I guess, 12 more times. His Christianity, I would not hang my hat on his Christianity, not a bit. So what happens when you become a politician, an activist, a social justice advocate? What happens on a Sunday morning? Well, let's watch. Let's find out.
He is almost alone. Almost alone among those who still execute. In the name of the people. And we have a strange question that we ask death row inmates. We ask right before killing people in the name of the people, and you say, what do you mean we? Well, they do it in our name. Right before executing people in the name of the people, we ask, what would you like to have for your last?
And he looks like a total and utter clown as he sits there and watches. And I did a little bit of research. These are students from the Atlanta University Center. Y'all know what school is in the Atlanta University Center if you follow along. You know that school is, of course, Morehouse College, Spelman, Clark Atlanta, as well as Morris Brown and the Intertheological Seminary. So his own brothers and sisters, this is the part that is completely amazing to me. Somebody asked, what did their shirt say? Their shirt said, "Stop arming Israel." Okay, so his brothers and sisters, and you saw that they were of the high melanin content, so these are black boys, black girls, would come to Ebenezer Baptist Church to do a silent walkout protesting Israel while they probably parked near the Planned Parenthood Center, probably going to walk by it to go get breakfast or to walk back to campus if they walked. So the irony is completely staggering that this man, because you've turned your church into a political activism center because you sat there and you're not preaching the gospel. You're not giving these people what they need. We saw that with what you did with with Tapper. Sir, please go have a seat. And please go have a whole seat. You can sit in every seat in King's Chapel and just go have a seat. Because what you're doing, sir, is deplorable. And I thought it was ironic that his brothers and sisters from Morehouse, Spelman Clark, and Morris Brown turn their backs on him about Israel, but they don't turn their backs on him about any other policy that he holds. I just thought that was amazing. Oh my gosh. All right. Yeah, I know I cut that video short and I got a couple thumbs down for it. I'm going to still cut it short because if man sit there and talk about the holy month of Ramadan, there's no such thing as a holy month of Ramadan. Sorry, or season of Ramadan. Sorry, it's just it's not a reality. It's not a reality. But it's all good though. I really do appreciate y'all. I appreciate you watching the videos, commenting, give me all this good feedback. I love it. All right, let's go. No, the judge, some question popped up. I want to bring it in. No, the judge has not ruled on the case as of yet. He asked for 2 weeks, and this is the beginning of the second week. So it could be at any moment. So hopefully, who knows? Maybe he does it right now. I don't know. I'm leaning toward it being like toward Wednesday, Thursday. But it could be Friday and just go into the weekend. Yeah. Absolutely. Ebenezer should be taxed. Absolutely. I think people need to stand up for the right reasons and walk out and not even darken the doors of Ebenezer Baptist Church. But I think I got your point. What's going on, Mercy? There's so many good people. And I apologize if I did not shout you out. I do want to thank Lacey. Thank you so much for the kind super chat. And let me see what she said real quick. Peer character lying on the side, raising his arms while saying, "How's it going?" Peer character. Who's peer character? Oh. I'm sorry. The pair character lying on the side, raising. Okay, got you. That's what that super sticker. I don't know why it describes it to us. That is so wild. But thank you nonetheless, Lacey, for your kind super chat. Appreciate you. That's so funny that they do that. All right, here we go real quick. Who else did I miss? I saw tons of good comments. I was going to star them while I was talking and started talking and didn't get there. When did shoes become race baiting? I heard earlier and I was confused. Shoes? When did shoes become race baiting? I don't know. I don't currently have shoes on. I have house shoes on. Is that racial? I hope not. Yeah, there we go. K-Dub answered the question. You can't ask questions like that. That proves it's race baiting. There you go. Problem solved. Yeah, I don't think Raphael Warnock is notorious for he embraces the idea of just speaking a lot of words, throwing a lot of multisyllabic words, and then smile. Blame others, the Democratic ploy. Blame others for what you're actually doing. There you go. Yeah, I mean, Raphael Warnock is another pastor, so that's why I say Atlanta must be stopped. It must be. It must be. Girl, I don't even think it was even half true. I think it was lies and whole lies. Great question. Somebody asked, hey,
ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Nobody's got time for that foolishness. Yeah, I mean, he's a politician. He does answer questions. Nobody's asked you that, sir. Nobody asked you that. And I kind of wish Tapper had asked or pushed back, like, well, my question was, let me rephrase my question or something of that nature. But yeah, that was terrible. It was absolutely horrible. The fact that the Black community rides so hard for the Democratic Party, knowing zero about the history of the party, willing sheeple and political puppets. There we go. He did call her Lincoln. He sure did. And I mean, he did better than Biden, though. Let's just tell the truth, shame the devil. The problem is they're bringing the dust. They bringing all the dust. I try not to bring dust because I know that there will be dust will be brought to the party. So they bring all the dust. I mean, that and I hear it because, my big girl, she likes UGA, and I kind of want her to go to University of Georgia, truth be told. Um, so my big girl, she's been to UGA 2 summers in a row. And she's spent and actually my big girl's gone 2 summers, and so is my chief executive second born. She went last year. Yeah. So I enjoy UGA. I think it's a really nice campus. I like the city of Athens. It seems like really nice. But the fact that they can't see what they're doing to the people of America with these policies is just staggering. Thank you so much for the thumbs down vote. I appreciate you. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. Patty says that I am in Portland. Gosh. Oh my goodness. I went to Portland many, many years ago, and it was so beautiful. This is well before it started going downhill. It was so beautiful. I went to Beaverton. And I was like, yo, this is a nice place. It was, I mean, if we had pulled up roots from Georgia, we would have probably been in Portland. I think the only reason is it was too far north and California was too south. I was like, I don't want to be that close to California. So therefore I didn't. But my goodness, I mean, Portland was beautiful. But let us continue. Here's your comment. I'm in the Portland, Oregon area. Summer of Love lasted 2 years, 2 long summers. Our city will take decades, generations to recover, and never will be the sweet city it used to be, all done by outside. I could imagine the things I've heard about it. It seems pretty sad. Actually, there's a coffee house that I wanted to highlight. I think they're in Portland. I'm almost certain they're in Portland proper. It's a Christian-based. It's a church that runs a coffee house, and they do things like helping homeless, and is an outreach mission of the church. And it seemed like a really neat process. And they're being like bombarded with protesters because they don't support the alphabet mafia. And I was going to highlight them. Maybe I will still. It didn't really seem appropriate for what I was discussing on the channel, but maybe I still will. Maybe I'll do like a little private live stream or something with them because I'd love to talk to the people. They seem really nice. I watched several interviews with them, but it just seemed like it seemed sad. Like they want to help. And they were even hiring. They were hiring homeless people, clean them up. Don't quote me on this. I really think they were even helping them with a place to live. So they had a job and a place to live, but because they weren't supportive of the alphabet mafia. And even in that, it was just the church has a statement about male and female marriage. It wasn't even like they went hard in the paint. They just made their what we believe statement say we believe in marriages between a man and a woman. That was it. And the yahoos came out and were protesting outside of it, trying to really shut the business down. But it's like, wow, like it doesn't even matter that the business was actually being a blessing to these men and women that were homeless, that needed a job. I mean, they were doing a lot. It was really difficult to watch, but who knows? Maybe I'll do that. Let's see what we got. All right. There has been some excellent comments. I really do appreciate it. Mercy got the right comment right there. Make sure you hit that like button. Hit it. If you didn't like what I did, if you didn't like the video, hit the like button 3 times. I promise you, it really hurts if you hit it 3 times. But I appreciate y'all so much. This has been a blast. And hopefully, as I said before, this week, Judge Mcafee will make a decision one way or another. I promise you, short of him doing it at 11 o'clock at night, whenever I get wind that Judge Mcafee is making his decision, we're going live. If I'm at the studio or I'm here at the house, if I'm in my car, if I'm in carpool lane, I don't care. We're going to do it because it's going to be wild. That's all I can tell you. It is going to be wild. And I think somebody asked one time before, I don't think there'll be any riots or anything like that. I just think that people are kind of want it to be over with. And I think whenever he decides, whatever he decides, I think we will be very happy that it's over with, at least this part of it. So we're finish this chapter and they'll go into whatever the new chapter is. They do not want, an extension of this chapter, so to speak. So that's kind of where we are. But yeah, everybody, I thank y'all so much, man. You all, just the last thing, you all that come to these live streams, whether you like what I'm talking about or you're not, whether you drop a super chat, a super sticker, or whether you subscribe or not, I really do appreciate it. I'm glad that you're finding value in what I'm talking about. I hope and pray that you'll continue to stop by, give me some ideas. I want to shout out to everybody in the Discord that was giving ideas about new topics to talk about, so on and so forth. If you do have something, you run across a really good video or somebody who's discussing the Fani Willlis case, feel free to drop me an email. I'll drop my email back in here again. But I do want to say again, for the last time, thank you all very much. Not trying to be super sentimental or anything like that, but you all make this so fun. And I have a great time interacting with you all. So thank you all so much. At this current moment, I am going to be leaving from the house, going to the studio to get ready to do some editing. Now, that being the case, if Judge Mcafee comes out and says he's about to drop some knowledge, your guy might get a speeding ticket. Either A, spinning the block to come back home, or fast forwarding it to the studio. But either way, I'm looking forward to doing this with y'all. Oh, wait. I know I keep changing my mind. I know y'all be like, look, Cobb County has also gotten a little bit of stir because like the merchants and Phil Holloway and a lot of other attorneys have worked in Cobb County. My studio is right down the block from Superior Court here in Cobb County. And when I drove through the Marietta Square yesterday, coming from church, I was looking around like, all right, I don't see any news trucks. I promise you, if something goes left and they end up coming up to Cobb County, AKA Judge Mcafee throws it out and Cobb County accepts it, oh my gosh, I will be doing live streams from the Marietta Square. I will be out looking like a little reporter. Hi, this is Jason from DWC News, live from the Cobb County Courthouse. I promise you, I am going to be ready for that. Please. That's going to be bananas because literally my studio is just a block away. It's going to be hilarious. So I should do that today. I might just go today just to be difficult. I might do a live stream from the Cobb County Superior Court. Anyway, everybody, I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for laughing with me today. Have an outstanding Monday. I'll see you real soon. Keep your eyes out for the next video. And until then, everybody, grace and peace.